Your kids could get free or low-cost health coverage from Medicaid or CHIP. Even if you've applied before, they may be eligible now. Kids up to age 19 are covered for checkups, vaccines, dentist visits, hospital care, and more. And if they already have Medicaid or CHIP, remember to renew every year. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's KFI AM 640, and you're listening to The Conway Show on demand on the iHeartRadio app.
It's the holiday season, so Conway taking a couple of weeks off. There is exciting news. I wagered on the Chargers yesterday. It didn't work out so well. Yeah. Well, you know what? I made the... I just got back to town and traveling and was bleary-eyed. And I turn on the television, and Terry Bradshaw, who is, Hall of Fame quarterback there on the NFL on Fox show, said, he goes, there's no way the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've got way too many injuries. There's no way they can win. And he stated it with such sort of like divine certitude. Like, there's just no way. I thought, well, that guy knows what he's doing. So I thought, I'll throw a couple of magic beans on it. So I bet the Chargers. And, of course, they really had it handed to them by the Bucs, which bummed me out because I think the Chargers are extremely exciting this year. And they continue to be extremely exciting. I love my Bolts. Love listening to Money, doing the play-by-play. Shannon. Well, the Los Angeles Chargers will host division rival Denver Broncos at SoFi. It'll be Thursday night. You can be there. I know what you're saying. You're saying, but I don't have tickets. That's the point. You can be there for this primetime AFC West showdown. Get tickets today at chargers.com/tickets, and you can win tickets right now. I have 2 tickets for you right this instant. What caller are we taking, Richie? Which one would you like to take?
Let's do number 5. Caller number 5.
Caller number 5, 1-800-520-1534. 1-800-520-1534. 1-800-520-1KFI. Again, the Chargers, all the games are on Alt 98.7. Go Bolts, and good luck. We'll let you know how it works out. Where there's some kind of annoying new traffic laws that are going into effect. In the new year, there's a daylighting law. It bans drivers from parking within 20 feet of a crosswalk. It makes intersections safer for pedestrians. And that law applies whether the crosswalk is marked or unmarked, and regardless of whether the curb is painted red or not. There are many cities around California that are working to put up signage and paint curbs to make it easier for drivers to kind of navigate this new rule, but not all the curbs are going to be painted red in time. So if you're parking facing a crosswalk, look for the red curb, but if it's, it's not there, leave a space of 20 feet, they say, a little bit longer than a large SUV. The locked door loophole goes into effect next year. It eliminates a loophole in the criminal code in California which define burglary to include entering a vehicle when the doors are locked with the intent to commit grand or petty larceny or a felony. So what they're saying is prosecutors have to prove that the door was locked, which requires victims being in the court to testify, etc. Now, under the new law, this is Senator Scott Wiener's law, car owners and prosecutors won't have to prove that the car was locked, just that there was forcible entry. I mean, that's a sensible Senate bill, 905. Good on you, Senator Scott Wiener. No license will be required if you're applying for a job unless driving is a critical part of the job. Job postings can't require that you have a valid driver's license anymore. Better insurance coverage in an accident. Senate Bill 1107 increases the minimum insurance liability limits for someone who was hurt or killed in a crash, or even if they suffer property damage. So that means if you got into a car accident and you weren't at fault, if the person who hit you carries an insurance package with that minimum policy limit, the maximum compensation you'll be able to get for your injury will only be $15,000, no matter how high your medical bills end up being. But that's going to change this next year. You'll be able to get much bigger payouts. Starting in 2025, it'll be $30,000 per person for bodily injury or worse, $60,000 for bodily injury per accident. So $30,000 per person for bodily injury, $60,000 for bodily injury or death, and $15,000 for property damage. So that all goes up in the new year. 2025, they've made some changes. Donald Trump is saying, don't worry, your polio vaccines are safe. He had kind of a freewheeling press conference this morning from Mar-a-Lago. And he has essentially said, when asked about the vaccines, particularly the polio vaccines, he said, we're looking at everything, but for people not to be too concerned. He is, as you know, welcoming in RFK Jr., who is not a big vax guy. In fact, he's sort of an anti-vax guy. And he'd referenced before the fact that the polio vaccine might be on the table. One of his assistants wanting to actually has sued the government to get rid of the polio vaccine, to essentially reconsider the approval. But Trump was, again, it was a kind of a off-the-cuff sort of freewheeling press conference, but he was trying to chill everybody out about that. He said he might pardon the mayor of New York City, who's in a federal criminal bribery case in New York. It's kind of a big deal. I mean, in fact, it's a big deal because he doesn't get any federal money. He's trying to run for mayor again. You can't get federal money when you're being indicted for Federal Election Commission violations. So he downplayed, Donald Trump did, the possibility of his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, being appointed by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to the Senate. DeSantis has been considering several people for that seat. It's held by Marco Rubio, of course, and Rubio is going on to be Secretary of State, presuming that he'll be approved. Trump did not confirm which world leaders would be at his inauguration, but he is saying that he's inviting a bunch of world leaders. I spoke to over 100 countries, he said. You wouldn't believe how many countries there are, Trump said. He stressed the idea that the tariff reciprocity was the key to his plans, and that he has a very clear agenda for tariffs ahead. So it's pretty wide-ranging kind of thing, although he seemed to be, kind of Trumpian, and he kind of handled it in a, broad stroke sort of way. But interesting that the world has gone to Mar-a-Lago to essentially shake hands and kiss the ring of the president-elect. And so he just had his first press conference from there. When we come back, they are selling a house that has some questionable mojo around it right here in Hollywood. We'll get to that next. It's the Conway Show. Mark Thompson sitting in for Tim.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. On Demand from KFI AM 640.
It is the magic of the holidays here at KFI AM 640, live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. Whatever you're celebrating, whatever your jam, we are with you through the holidays. It's the Conway Show. Mark Thompson sitting in for Tim. There is a house that I guess has sort of a dark past, and it's been put on the market for a pretty substantial price. It's the Hollywood home where Brittany Murphy passed away. It's located in the Hollywood Hills, and she passed away. She was only 32 years old. It was 2009, and it was this time of year. It was December 20th of 2009. Her husband, British screenwriter Simon Monjack, he was found dead on the property just 5 months after her. Pneumonia and anemia named as his cause of death. So that same house has now been put on the market for the first time since 2020. It was listed with that David Parnes, who's the $1 Million Listing dude. Do you ever watch that show, $1 Million Listing? Anybody?
I sure do.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you got to get another $1 million for this place. It's no good. I'm not going to take this deal. There's a lot of high-flying negotiation and navigating in that show. But anyway, the former $1 Million Listing Los Angeles star, David Parnes, is that how he says his name? Is moving forward with this, and they're asking $18 million. It's right now listed as off-market on Zillow, but it has apparently been listed. It's 9,400 square feet, completely renovated and refurbished just this year. It's described as a former celebrity haven that combines warm, modern finishes with a layout ideal for both entertaining and everyday life. 3 floors, 6 bedrooms, 9 bathrooms. So you're always just a few feet away from being able to use the bathroom. Grand dining area, 12-foot tall windows, 40-foot infinity pool in the backyard. They want $18 million for it. It was last sold in December of 2020. How much did they get for it then? They want $18 million for it now. The answer, $12 million. So it's taken quite a ride in that 4-year period. Anyway, the Hollywood Hills home is filled with that cloud of what happened, right? Brittany, I believe she bought that. I believe this is right. Brittany Murphy died after having purchased the property from Britney Spears. And so in 2009, she collapsed in that house, and then she was pronounced dead after being transported to Sinai Medical Center. And they say it was an accident. Anyway, the entire theory as to what happened to Brittany Murphy and then, of course, her husband's death, that has all created this cloud around the property. Still, it's full speed ahead. But it's Britney Spears now who has said that she has a bunch of theories about the house and that it's haunted. And she has made these theories public in podcasts and various interviews that she's participated in. She said, I had my friend do a Reiki healing. I guess he had a crazy partying weekend, needed to relax. He left and swears to God that he opened up some spirit portal or something up there, and these bad spirits came in, and they were trying to, push her down the stairs or something crazy. I know you are going to think I'm crazy. I'm not crazy, she said. I know what I saw. I know what I felt. Anyway, the idea is that this infamous house can be yours for $18 million. Venice is looking to put anybody in a house who is unhoused. The problem is they can't seem to get this development through that would build all of this housing in Venice. The California Coastal Commission has approved this 120-unit affordable housing project. But one day earlier, a city panel denied a land transfer to the developer, and that essentially kills the housing project. It doesn't matter if you get the California Coastal Commission approving it if the city council and this panel denies the land transfer. Years of uncertainty over this area called Venice Dell. And it's as you know, Venice, we lived there for less than a year. You know, our place burned, and we had to figure out a place to live on the fly. You really have to, pull it together quickly the way this works. And so we chose Venice because it was centrally located for work that we were doing. And it's a great area, but it's also full of homeless and homeless issues. And so you have a lot of the problems that settle in around homeless encampments. You have violence, you have drugs, you have, every manner of a street person who's making life difficult. So this affordable housing development along the canals, that would really provide some relief. It's 120 apartments. These are low-income residents or formerly homeless people. And it was all to go up on a city-owned parking lot. But again now, because of litigation on all sides and confusion over the project's status and exactly who and what was affecting its future, there are fingerprints all over this thing. But at the end of it all, it looks as though this isn't going to happen. And so you end up doing nothing to alleviate the problem of homelessness in Venice. The financing hasn't been lined up, and you're not going to be able to line up financing given the fact that, as I say, you haven't really gotten full approval and a green light on this. But that continues, and the drama continues. The mayor's getting involved. But there's a lawsuit against the mayor, alleging that she's part of this, part of stopping it. So that's a definite to be continued. Kids at the holidays. Is there anything better? We'll have that story next.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
Mark Thompson here for Tim Conway Jr. This holiday season filled with all kinds of good stuff. Kids were given these brand new bicycles. They thought they were there for a modest, small, almost sort of commemorative gift. Then they uncorked these bicycles on them. Apparently they were very happy. It was a
surprise moment for these kids because they assumed that they would be receiving something super tiny for participating in a riding competition.
I don't know. Are you hearing that? Am I not hearing anything?
It did stop all of a sudden.
It did. Well, surprise, kids. It's over. I literally don't know what is the story here. They just booby trap everything here, knowing that I will be filling in for Tim. I can't get the audio that so we went. Let me just pull back the curtain, the magic curtain for a moment. We had a program that we run. It's an Adobe program, an audio program, and it wasn't working. For whatever reason, the computer's not playing it through, even though we can see the view meter. So we load in another program. Now we load all of the audio cuts into that program. I previewed it during the break to make sure it was working. I checked with Stafouche to say, hey, this is potted up, so we'll be able to get... And now it's not. So now, Stafouche, I have no choice but to ask you to run it, please. Thank Thank you.
Run it.
What a surprise, and what an incredible surprise before the holidays for these kids. Now, you can see the bikes right here behind us. Of course, they're not letting the kids have the bikes now because otherwise they would all be running around riding these bikes in the school campus right now. But they will be taking these home, and this was a total surprise moment for these kids because they assumed that they would be receiving something super tiny for participating in a riding competition, but instead they were in for something much bigger. Take a look.
Bad news is I don't have one more bike.
That's okay.
The good news is everybody's getting a bike.
The Chargers Impact Fund celebrating its 20th anniversary of Bikes for Kids by surprising 400 students here at McNair Elementary School in Compton with a brand new bike. And these kids, they were originally all under the assumption that they would be receiving a tiny prize for their participation in a riding contest. But turns out they were in for so much more than that.
Oh, that's
a brand
nice.
new shiny bike for each student here at the school, ages ranging from TK to 6th grade, complete with a helmet. Joining the celebration, former Chargers linebacker and America's Got Talent host Terry Crews, along with other Chargers legends. This year's event marks the first time every student at a school, more than 400 in this case, received a bike.
Wow.
And not only that, the Chargers also awarding one of their very own, the MC for today's event, with special Super Bowl tickets for all of his hard work.
Wow.
I'm going to let you hold this and show everybody what this is.
That's Terry Crews.
Yes.
Yeah.
For you and your wife, 2 Super Bowl tickets.
Very cool.
To the Super Bowl.
I always love to hear jubilance at the holidays. Thank you, Stafouche. That was quite lovely. I love to hear the kids celebrating. Terry Crews also getting Super Bowl tickets. I mean, no offense, but I don't think Terry Crews really needs Super Bowl tickets. He can probably pretty well hook those up on his own. But still, it's good that everybody's happy. I like a happy story during the holidays. It's very cool. Now, I am being asked by those who remember to relate my own bicycle experience. It also took place at the holidays. Now, you know, when I was a little kid, all I wanted was a new bicycle, which is why hearing those kids so jubilant really lands with me. I mean, I understand that. And the bike I wanted was like this blue metallic thing. It was I thought it was just the coolest thing. I used to see it in the store window, and I wanted it more than anything. So Christmas comes, and Christmas and my birthday are within a day of each other. So my birthday is the day after Christmas. So I get a lot of gifts, you know, for both Christmas and my birthday, which is fine, especially when it's like a big thing, which is what I'm getting to. Because on this birthday that I remember and Christmas, I came downstairs and there was this massive box. And on the box is a picture of that metallic blue bike that I saw in the window all those many months. I was so excited. I opened the box, and of course, the bike comes in like all of these different parts. You know, it has to be assembled. So we drag this big box out to the garage and a little bit out onto the driveway, and my father lays out all of the various component parts very carefully. And I'm just giddy with excitement that I'm going to get this gorgeous blue bike that I've dreamt of getting. Like the fates have finally favored me, and I'm going to get this. And my dad starts putting the bike together. And he can't seem to put it together. He just starts to get, and my dad was, you know, he was okay with the socket wrench set and whatever else you needed. But there were a lot of pieces of this bike. I can't believe now that they would have anything so completely, you know, packed this way where you have to essentially put together the bike from start to finish. I remember you had to put the chain on. You had to put all this different stuff, the gears. And my father was, I mean, I'll just say day turned to night, and we didn't have that bike assembled, and I started to really get discouraged. I remember I was listening for my dad to say things like, "Oh, I get it." Like he'd say stuff like that. And I would go, and when he'd say that, I thought, "Oh my God, this is really going to happen now." Well, my father passed away earlier this year, and if you go up that street to this day, I'll bet you can find parts of that bike because we never really did get that thing assembled in the way it was supposed to be assembled. It was the longest, toughest gift giving. We went from the penthouse to the doghouse, unable to get that blue bike to work. I think truly in the end, we must have gotten it working, but I just remember it took days. It wasn't literally later that night. It took days. So, whatever your blue bike is in your life this holiday season, it might just be with family. It might just be a visit. It might not involve any kind of actual thing. I hope it goes better than my blue bike experience from my childhood all those many years ago.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
It is a beautiful time to celebrate whatever you're celebrating. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. From all of us at KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Conway's away, Thompson here. Did you know there's nothing more Yuletide than remembering that 39 years ago today, Gambino mob boss Paul Castellano went to dinner at Sparks Steakhouse in Manhattan, and he and his driver, Tommy Bellotti, were gunned down as they got out of their car. Yes, it was the most spectacular gangland assassination ever. No one was ever charged in that case. 39 years ago, in Manhattan, it went down in the most populous city in America. Again, at dinner time. And they were both gunned down as they got out of their car. And no one was ever charged in that case. So, meantime, 7 foreign tourists hospitalized in Fiji. This just happened. They drank cocktails at a resort bar. They're not sure if their drinking of cocktails at the bar is relevant. The cause of their illness not known. Officials saying it's too soon to know if there was tainted alcohol involved. But those who became ill all were at this 5-star Warwick resort near the town of Sigatoka. Again, this is in Fiji. Australians and American. They were hospitalized with nausea, vomiting, neurological symptoms. 2 people are still in the hospital from this. One person was discharged, and both of them are in stable condition and conscious. One of the people, an Australian man who said his daughter and granddaughter were hospitalized, said that his relatives had been released from the hospital, were due to fly home. But they don't know what was the cause of the illness. Now, remember, and this is something that a lot of local news outlets are reporting, they're saying that alcohol poisoning is likely. A similar case in Laos in November, in which 6 tourists, including 2 Australian teenagers, died after consuming tainted drinks, makes a lot of these news outlets and reporting around this suggest that they got tainted alcohol. But they have yet established no cause in this Fiji episode. They've ordered toxicology tests and they're awaiting results, and that takes 3 or 4 days. The bar was full of customers, they said. And they'd ordered pina coladas, and there were a lot of pina coladas ordered. And that was the drink that all of them had ordered and consumed prior to this. No other reports of similar illness. It's always weird, when this goes down in some way So you begin to, question every time you're in a situation where you're drinking from a bar with a mixed drink of any kind, right? It's pretty disturbing and makes you, especially with holiday travel, it makes you question. I mean, again, you don't want to become so paranoid that you never have a cocktail or a mocktail or whatever. But at the same time, you want to be aware of your surroundings. Pretty crazy. I don't know. That's the latest. It just happened. 1 American and 6 other tourists hospitalized in Fiji. Pretty brutal. TikTok is saying, please let us continue in America. They're asking the Supreme Court, this just happened today, to block a law that would effectively ban TikTok in the United States in a matter of weeks. They're saying the law violates their First Amendment rights and those of 170 million American users of TikTok. Now, TikTok, of course, is controlled by a Chinese parent company. So they're bringing this to the Supreme Court to try to hang on to the company. They say Congress's unprecedented attempt to single out applicants and bar them from operating one of the most significant speech platforms in this nation presents grave constitutional problems that this court likely will not allow to stand. But again, with bipartisan support, there was a law enacted, signed by Biden, saying that TikTok has to be turned over to American ownership or it has to be closed down. Well, you know it's not going to be closed down. It's just not. TikTok is going nowhere. It's too critical a platform for so many businesses. I mean, leave aside the fact that you may like TikTok or your kids may like TikTok or whatever, but the reality is that it's used commercially so aggressively for marketing that there's no way that it's going to just evaporate in America. Now, it may be transferred to American ownership, and if that happens, whatever American owner is circling, they will get that at fire sale prices. It'll be a forced sale. So, again, the concern is that a Chinese company has all the information on Americans who are using this app, and they can also, in addition to culling that information for various data points, everything from location to profiles of one sort or another, they can spread propaganda that way. Now, again, these are the accusations. It's not to say that this is happening. But TikTok officially started in 2018, I think it was actually, in the U.S. And it has caught fire. Unbelievable. Especially with Gen Z and millennials. News, entertainment, shopping. I mean, it is an engine of life if you're Gen Z or millennial. And so this is a big deal. This court case and the notion that TikTok may go away. So the Supreme Court has shown a lot of interest in the application of free speech principles to big tech platforms, as you know. They haven't issued definitive rulings, but they really are sort of sniffing around First Amendment and foreign ownership and social media. So we'll have to see. But as I say, this is a huge case, and I think in the end, TikTok will continue. But the future of who actually owns TikTok or what entity owns TikTok, that may be very much up in the air. Again, the company that controls it now is called ByteDance. That's the Chinese company. And they have half the company. I mean, you understand it's communist China, so they own everything in effect. But the ByteDance people say, look, half of TikTok is owned by institutional investors. The government of China doesn't have a direct or indirect ownership stake in TikTok or ByteDance, is what they're saying. But they're going to have to sell that to the Supreme Court because right now America is sort of ready to turn TikTok over to an American entity or series of entities. So that's really one to be watched. Mo Kelly is standing by. I saw him in the green room. He looks good. He looks rested. He looks ready. He will follow. All of you, thank you for your patience. Stafouche, thank you for picking up the slack.
Yes, sir.
We've had a frustrating day with audio in here, you know. I usually like to be a one-man band, run my own stuff. I don't like to depend on people, Stafouche. I like to be self-sufficient. And today I had to depend on you, and you were there for me, and I thank you. Richie, Angel, everyone, Croge, appreciate it. Mo Kelly is next. KFI AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Conway Show on demand on the iHeartRadio app. Now, you can always hear us live on KFI AM 640, 4 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and anytime on demand on the iHeartRadio app.